For more than 5,000 years, people have recorded the world around them. The ancient Egyptians used early forms of writing to tell future generations about their lives. And although our planet once had dozens of ancient civilizations, Egypt stands as one of the most remarkable. With its wonders, achievements, and cultural legacy stretching back many thousands of years, Egypt remains one of humanity's greatest civilizations. Today, we will explore the entire history of Egypt, from its earliest beginnings to the nation it eventually became. To make this story clear and engaging, we will divide it into three large eras: Ancient Egypt, Greco-Roman Egypt, Arab and Islamic Egypt, which continues into the present day.
Long before the rise of pyramids and pharaohs, Africa looked very different. Thick tropical forests covered the land, and early humans migrated across what would eventually become Egypt. As the climate grew hotter and drier, forests gave way to savannas. Egypt's location made it a perfect migration corridor from Eastern Africa into Asia. Around 10,000 years ago, new tribes of Semitic origin arrived in the region, though their exact origins are still debated by scholars. What drew people to Egypt was simple: the River Nile. Thousands of years earlier, northern Egypt had been a large bay of the Mediterranean Sea. As the land gradually rose, the Nile regularly overflowed its banks, leaving behind rich, fertile soil. Ancient people planted crops as soon as the waters retreated, then waited for the next flood. This cycle shaped their entire existence. Dozens of early settlements appeared along the river, but each faced the same problem: growing populations and limited farmland. To survive, these communities began merging, building canals, dams, reservoirs, and irrigation channels to store water and expand farmland. By the 4th millennium before our era, two major regions existed: Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. After years of rivalry, the ruler Narmer, also known as Menes, united them. This was the birth of dynastic Egypt.
During the early dynastic period, Egypt became a true state with defined borders, a strong central government, and a defensive army protecting it from nomadic tribes. But Egypt's greatness came from innovation. From around the year 2700 before our era to the year 2100 before our era, Egyptians mastered geometry, created the solar calendar, studied the stars, and developed advanced agriculture. The Great Pyramids were the direct result of these achievements. They also brewed beer, baked bread, created a complex writing system, and even built an early version of the Suez Canal to connect the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. However, climate changes and growing corruption led to instability. Civil wars broke out, and Egypt briefly entered a period of decline. From around the year 2100 before our era to the year 1750 before our era, Egypt rebuilt itself. Despite internal conflicts, this period saw major advancements. The Egyptians began producing bronze tools, opened schools, perfected papyrus writing, and mastered artificial water management. One of the greatest engineering accomplishments of the ancient world happened under the 12th dynasty: the creation of a massive artificial lake. Through a system of dams, canals, and floodgates, Egyptians stored the Nile's water and released it over more than 100 days. This allowed them to irrigate fields at will 4,000 years ago. From around the year 1500 before our era to the year 1000 before our era, Egypt reached the height of its power. Egyptians mastered chariot warfare, expanded their territory, built wells, and challenged powerful neighbors. This was the time of legendary figures like Ramses II and Nefertiti. Temples rose across the land, writing flourished, and education became more widespread. However, building enormous religious structures drained the treasury. The priests of the god Amun accumulated massive power and destabilized the country.
Several pharaohs ruled at the same time. Chaos increased and foreign invaders, especially the Persians, eventually seized control. By the year 525 before our era, Egypt lost its independence. Everything changed again in the year 332 before our era, when Alexander the Great conquered Egypt. Under Greek rule, the country experienced a new golden age. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Great Library, and the City of Alexandria became global centers of culture, science, and trade. However, the Greek language gradually replaced traditional Egyptian writing. Over time, ancient scripts began to disappear. The last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty was Cleopatra. After aligning with Julius Caesar, she eventually brought Egypt into the Roman Empire in the year 30 before our era. Under Roman and later Byzantine rule, Egypt stagnated. It became mostly a supplier of grain. The Great Library slowly faded into ruin, and its destruction is still debated by historians today.
In the year 640, Arab armies conquered Egypt. They brought Islam, Arabic culture, and new administrative systems. The Suez Canal, which had existed in earlier forms, was abandoned. Scientific activity declined, and Arabic gradually replaced older languages. Within a few centuries, Egypt became entirely Arab in culture and identity, a transformation that remains today. Between the year 870 and the year 1517, Egypt experienced periods of near independence. The most famous leader was Saladin, who fought the Crusaders and expanded the region's influence. In the year 972, Egypt founded Al-Azhar University, one of the oldest continuously operating universities in the world.
In the year 1517, Egypt became part of the Ottoman Empire. It served mainly as a colony, providing resources and paying tribute. Napoleon attempted to conquer Egypt but failed. In the year 1869, the modern Suez Canal was completed by French and British engineers, a dream first envisioned by the ancient Egyptians. Eventually, Western powers took control of the canal's profits. By the early 20th century, Great Britain completely dominated Egypt. Although Egypt formally gained independence in the year 1936, the British continued influencing the country's politics and military.
Years of corruption, foreign interference, and economic hardship led to the Egyptian Revolution of the year 1952. Egypt became a republic and took full control of the Suez Canal. When Britain, France, and Israel attempted to regain the canal, enormous pressure from both the United States and the Soviet Union forced them to withdraw. Since then, Egypt has followed its own path, shaped by ancient heritage, modern struggles, and centuries of transformation.